Right here at 5 o'clock, we start by giving you a live look at the feels like temperatures across Kentuckiana, and we certainly have been feeling this all week long. Unfortunately, folks, not out of the woods just yet. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Shay McAllister.
I'm Connie Leonard. Yeah, it feels like 100 out there, doesn't it? I'm in for Doug tonight. Well, we've been issuing impact alert days all this week, including today. So let's get over to Ben Pine to tell us what we need to know. Ben?
Yeah, big impact out there, guys, with this incredible heat across the area. It is just brutal, blazing and baking heat that we have out there. 102, the official high, right after 4 o'clock today. So that is the hottest in 12 years since 2012. And that goes way past our old record of 99 for today's date. That was set back in 1953. And it looks like a record high is going to be likely tomorrow. Our forecast at least 99, the old record 98 back in 1953. That should be the end of the heat wave. We still sit at 100 at Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Feels like 101. The only kind of good thing is the humidity is really low at 27%. So we've had the heat index earlier this summer up to around 110. So it's felt worse, even though technically on the thermometer it hasn't been this hot in a long time. Our feels like temps in the upper 90s to low 100s, so just take care if you have to be outside for a little while, but enjoy as much AC as you possibly can. Just east of Madison, we've got a few pop-up showers and just off to the north of Carrollton, but that is about it. Most areas will be dry through this evening. Our low tonight, 77 degrees and mostly clear, already about 94 at noon, just like we were today. So very hot already by lunchtime, and another record high up to near 100 degrees. And we are promising some relief on the way for this weekend and the end of the heat wave and some much needed rain chances. We've got that Labor Day weekend forecast with those good changes coming up.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben. Well, you should also keep these things in mind if you need to be outside. The CDC says to drink plenty of water, of course, even if you don't feel thirsty. Wear loose, light-colored clothing and sunscreen. Never leave children or pets in cars. Very important there. Be sure to note if medication you're taking, like antidepressants or aspirin, have heat-related side effects. If you feel dizzy and nauseous or develop cramps or a headache, you could be experiencing heat exhaustion and should lie in a cool place and drink some water. Now, if there's confusion and high body temperature, it could be a heat stroke, and you should seek medical attention right away. We've got these symptoms listed in the WHAS11 News app. Through it, we'll send you weather updates dealing with our impact alert days. 16 people are without homes tonight after the apartment fire in New Albany.
Despite consuming half the building, everyone made it out alive. One man did get hurt, though, jumping off his balcony to escape the flames. Another woman still looking for her cat while their belongings sit in ash. Ian Hardwitt and photojournalist Emma Gaffter revisited that scene with them today.
Right here. It saved my fall for the most part. I hit in the bush and then I kind of fell in the yard.
Mike Roberts leapt off his second floor balcony and cut open his cap. 13 stitches keep the wound shut after a fire forced his escape, consuming his Kingsfield apartment home on Mills Lane.
I told my mom I'm going to go hug that tree when I can get over there.
Of the couple dozen people who escaped the 16-unit apartment building, Roberts was the only one injured. The emergency call came in shortly after 9 o'clock Wednesday night. Then New Albany firefighters battled the blaze for an hour and a half. The most intense part of the fire took this side of the building, mostly the second floor impacted by it. You can see where the fire went straight through the trusses supporting the roof. And as we look further down, the vinyl siding on the first floor even melting, although some of the items inside are fine. If we look further down, you can see just how much rubble came out into the yard. Robert's neighbor, Judy Davidson, rented one of the 8 homes that officials now call unlivable.
Threw some clothes on, tried to grab the cats. Of course, I could only get Loki, and Miss Tiny was hiding, bless her heart.
Tiny, she believes, is still hiding. Some of Davidson's neighbors are helping with the search. She's hoping for the cat's safe return after a firefighter and police officer talked her into leaving the home as the fire spread.
So they're both in there like, you got to get out now. And the apartment started filling with smoke. And you know, if they hadn't been there, I'd still be looking for her.
Davidson also lost family photos in the fire. Those now slathered with wet ash may not be recovered. Roberts lost his tennis shoe collection he numbered at 200.
But hey, I can replace those. But I'm in good spirit right now. I'm alive, and That's what matters.
In New Albany, Ian Hardwick, WHAS11, on your side.
Well, many of the people we spoke to say the Kingsfield apartment complex has promised them new units. The Red Cross gave overnight rooms to 6 people. The organization says they expect more will still need some help today.
Right now, police are investigating a fatal shooting in the Algonquin neighborhood. It happened around 10:30 last night on West Galbert Street, just off South 23rd. Now, when officers arrived, they say they found a woman with gunshot wounds. She died there. As of now, there are no suspects. If you know anything about this shooting, call the LMPD tip line at 574-LMPD.
And today, an update on the driver police say was in the car that led to yesterday's officer-involved shooting. He's behind bars on a $50,000 bond. Jeremy Bozarth appeared in court this morning. He's accused of driving more than 100 miles per hour, leading police on a chase before crashing into a nearby Walmart on Outer Loop. KSP says troopers were trying to stop his car because the vehicle had expired registration. They also say he had a suspended license and active warrant for his arrest. Well, now he's facing several traffic charges as well as fleeing police and wanton endangerment. His bond was originally set at $20,000. The county prosecutor requested that bond be raised to $50,000.
Our position is that certainly the allegations related to the fleeing, the driving that was observed by the trooper, and colliding with another car, and his failure to appear history, that he is a danger to the community and a flight risk.
The judge agreed, raising Bozarth's bond to $50,000. His next court appearance is scheduled for next Friday, September the 6th.
The ACLU of Indiana is suing Indiana University over what's being called its new expressive activity policy. Expressive activity is a broad term to encompass freedom of speech and expression. One example typically seen on university campuses are protests, which it experienced back in May. Now, according to IU, expressive activities are allowed from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. as long as they don't disrupt official activities, business, or operations of the university. Well, according to its lawsuit, the ACLU claims that policy is too broad and violates the First Amendment. The organization is also asking a federal court to block the policy's time restriction. IU has not responded to that suit.
LMPD's interim police chief is responding to a report from the United States Department of Justice. That report says too many people needing mental health care in Kentucky end up in hospitals or jails. The DOJ mentions the health care gap in Louisville, but ultimately places the blame on state government. We talked to the police chief, Paul Humphrey, about that recent report. He says this is a nationwide problem that the federal government needs to work on, not a problem for the city or state to handle alone.
The federal government at a certain point needs to step up and start contributing to solving this problem, as opposed to saying, little old Louisville, you have a problem that you need to pour billions of dollars into solving, when that's not practical.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear also critical of the report, saying it glosses over the way multiple sectors of government play a role in the mental health system. The governor said his team will meet with the DOJ to listen to its input and move forward.
Louisville health officials say the first case of the Oropush virus, also known as sloth fever, was reported here in Jefferson County. The CDC confirmed the case in partnership with Kentucky and Louisville's public health departments. Officials say the infected person had mild symptoms and is recovering. The case is one of more than 20 confirmed cases in the U.S. People who were diagnosed with the virus after recently traveling from Cuba. Federal health officials say it spread to humans by small biting flies called midges and by some types of mosquitoes. Symptoms are similar to other tropical diseases like malaria, including headaches and fever. Officials say so far no one has died and believe there is no evidence that it's spreading in the U.S.
Meanwhile, Kentucky health officials are reporting a rise in COVID-19 cases following a summer surge, and that does include Jefferson County. Data from the Kentucky Department for Public Health shows nearly 3,500 new COVID cases were reported statewide during the week ending on August 17th. Of those, 918 COVID cases that were reported came from the metro compared to only 300 the month prior. The CDC says it regularly is testing wastewater to detect traces of COVID-19 in communities, and Kentucky is now one of 14 states experiencing a rise in cases. Well, this all comes as Carroll County schools in Kentucky are closed for the rest of the week. The district says students and staff are being affected by several illnesses, including the flu, RSV, and COVID. Superintendent Casey Janes says student attendance dropped to 88% and 75% for staff from Monday to Wednesday. Carroll County High School's Friday night football game against Kentucky Day has been canceled and will be forfeited. The days will be added onto the calendar as makeup days. The district says they'll return to class on September the 3rd.
Kentucky schools are making progress in ensuring each school has a resource officer to protect students and staff. Now, in its latest annual school safety report, the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet revealed that 858 schools across the Commonwealth have an SRO. While that's about 67% of the state's more than 1,300 schools, it's a 28% increase from last year. It follows a requirement Governor Andy Beshear signed into law back in 2022, mandating every school have an SRO. The cabinet also found more than 99% of all the state schools were in compliance with Kentucky's safety requirements for the previous school year. To check out the full report, we've got the link in this story on the WHAS11.com homepage.